No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth.
And on sport news tonight, UK confidence of safety return of fans to stadiums in October. I'll be back for more on the sports segment of the news. My name is Moses or Jerumi. Stay with us.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now the news in full. Ogun State House of Assembly has played host to the State Commissioner for Finance, Mr. Dapo Okubadejo, preparatory to the consideration of the passage of the 2020 revised budget, which was reduced from 450 billion naira to 280 billion naira, resulting in 38% decrease recently forwarded to it by the State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun. The Assembly also passed a resolution to amend the State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Code, Trace Amendment 2007, in view of the need to address the high rate of road accidents in the state. Correspondent Kola Woliosho covered the plenary held at the Assembly Complex, Okemoson, Abeokuta, and his report is presented in this package.
Addressing the lawmakers, Commissioner for Finance, Dapo Okubadejo, outlined the steps taken by the present administration towards the implementation of the economic blueprint for the post-COVID-19 period to further development in all parts of the state, including reducing in the budget size of some sectors and agencies in line with the global socio-economic challenges posed by the pandemic. The step, according to the Commissioner, was in line with the federal government's resolve to also slash its budget and revenue projection in line with new economic realities and shortfall in oil prices in the global market.
The original assumption based on the federal government budget was $57, all right? And so therefore, because we've now seen oil prices below $30, of course we've seen it ramp up again slightly, but because this volatility is one that is here to stay, so the budget has to be amended.
While fielding questions from the lawmakers, Okubadejo ascribed the adjustment in the 2020 appropriation law to the ravaging pandemic, saying it has caused a downfall in the nation's economic index, including the gross domestic products, GDP. The Assembly thereafter passed the second reading of the Bill Year 2020 Appropriation Amendment Law 2020 after the Chairman, House Committee on Finance and Appropriation, Honorable Kunle Shobo Kola, moved a motion for its second reading, seconded by Honorable Solomon Osho and supported by the whole House through a voice vote. The action, according to the Assembly, was based on the earlier engagements with the State Commissioner for Finance on the rationale behind the proposed reduction in the 2020 budget. Responding, Speaker Olakunle Oluomo, while committing the bill to the House Committee on Finance and Appropriation, underscored the need to speed up the process of redesigning land title for the people to allow property owners enjoy the benefits of holding title documents for all economic or business dealings. The Assembly also passed a resolution to amend the State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Code, Trace Amendment 2007, in view of the need to address the high rate of road accidents in the state. The passage of the resolution followed a motion moved by a member representing Odeda State Constituency, Honorable Oludaisi Elemide, seconded by Honorable Aruna Wahab, and supported by entire lawmakers through a voice vote.
Olabisi Onabanjo University has generated over 1.036 billion naira between January and June this year, while its Tai Sholari University of Education counterpart also generated a sum of 1.011 billion naira as revenue within same period in the quest to meet the contemporary and future needs of the nation through the training of students who could compete favorably with their counterparts across the globe. The Vice Chancellor of the institution, Professor Ganiu Olatunde, who was represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Professor Deji Agbola, and his counterpart from Tai Sholari University of Education, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, stated this during the ongoing 2020 budget assessment of the institutions before the members of the State House of Assembly Committee on Education, Science and Technology, led by Honorable Ademuyiwa Adeyemi at the Assembly Complex, Okemoson, Abeokuta. Professor Deji Agbola said that the revenue was generated from different revenue sources, including tuition fees, contractors' registration fees, transcripts, acceptance fees, rent of universities' property, grants and subventions, among others. He listed ongoing projects in OOU within the period to include construction and furnishing of Faculty of Science building, that of Social Science building, both at main campus, while that of Architecture building was at Ibogun campus, Agricultural Science building at Ayetoro, Anatomy and Mobile building, as well as the Animal House building at OACHS Shagamu campus.
For the current expenditure, what actually approved for us as well is the 4.2 billion naira, out of which 1.9 billion has been spent. And then the overhead, which is 580, which already spent 170. So the budget performance for that current expenditure is 23.84%.
On his part, the Vice-Chancellor of TASWED stated that the institution got 277.8 million naira from internally generated revenue and 733.2 million naira from grants and aids from the state government and TED Fund, with a total of 346.4 million naira expended on capital projects on the school campus. The construction included a University Health Center extension, College of Vocational and Technical Education building, postgraduate school building, smart classroom building, home economics laboratory, College of Science and Information laboratory, among others.
30th June 2020, we have 192,254,547.51, which is 8.33%. For transcripts, certificates, and final clearance, we have 285,125,000.
Other tertiary institutions that had their 2020 budget appraised by the lawmakers are Gateway ICT Polytechnic Shakbadi, Abraham Adesanya Polytechnic Ijebu-Igbo, and College of Health Technology Ilese. The federal government has given an order for schools across the country to resume for academic activities as from August 4. In this special report, Matthew Showme takes a look at the level of preparedness of schools to resume, with students in the final class to resume first. His reports.
COVID-19 pandemic and the prevention of spread among students were the reasons for the closure of schools across the country. Having considered the implications of the continuous lockdown of schools on the education sector and the development of children, the federal government has now decided to reopen schools with students in final classes. This has been met with mixed reactions from the people, as some believe the nation needs to strike a balance between safeguarding public health and protecting the education sector.
We cannot keep our schools closed forever, or because we have found ourselves in the pandemic situation. I also feel it is a welcome development from the federal government, why it also calls for every stakeholder to do the needful by putting in necessary measures.
I think we are all ready. Schools should resume for exit students, for them to just write the exam and get done with it. Of course, anybody who is into education, the onus lies on them to have prepared for this resumption. The protocol has been rolled out for over a month ago.
The students might be happy. So the question is that all these schools, I mean the private school and the secondary schools and the public school, are they ready to help the federal government on this resumption? Are they ready to curb this pandemic, the ongoing, by providing all the required amenities?
They speak on what should be put in place to allow for safe reopening of schools.
These schools, both public and private schools, they need their support. All this hand wash, sanitizers, electronic thermometers. The schools need support to get all these things. Once they have all this support, I'm sure they are ready to receive their students.
We may feel it is not too safe for us to reopen schools, but yet we need more education. We need to continue our life. I feel COVID-19 has come to stay from the look of things. It is just for every one of us to follow the guidelines.
This will mark another approach in the battle against COVID-19. Matthew Shoumi, Ogtv News.
The federal government and the World Health Organization (WHO) on Tuesday said that hepatitis B BAF dose vaccination still remains the best way to reduce the number of new infections in the country, because the most vulnerable time for infection is in the first month of life. They also revealed that people with hepatitis-related complications are at a higher risk of developing severe cases of COVID-19 and must continue to receive essential hepatitis prevention and treatment services during the pandemic and beyond. The WHO therefore called for the scaling up of hepatitis B BAF dose vaccination, leveraging the HIV and syphilis infrastructure to prevent mother-to-child transmission and ensure mothers have access to testing and treatment. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, in his address at the WHO virtual high-level meeting to commemorate World Hepatitis Day, said Nigeria is endemic for both viral hepatitis B and C. In 2018, Nigeria conducted a national AIDS indicator and impact survey, which showed a prevalence of 8.1% for hepatitis B HBV and 1.1% for hepatitis C HCV. We estimated that about 20 million people are chronically infected. The federal government recognizes the importance of vaccination as a critical intervention in the determination to eliminate HBV infection by 2030. In the light of this, Nigeria was one of the first African countries to introduce a BAF dose of HBV vaccine in 2004. He noted the government, working in alignment with the regional resolution, is to reduce chronic hepatitis B virus infection to less than 2% in children under 5 years by the end of this year. Ehanire added that one of the major challenges of hepatitis B BAF dose vaccination was the inadequate domestic contribution to finance vaccines and expand access to services. As Nigeria joined the rest of the world to commemorate World Hepatitis Day, Ogun State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tomi Koka, had advised the people of the state to oppose the implementation of core intervention endorsed by the World Health Assembly to tackle the spread of hepatitis virus. The commissioner gave this advice at a press conference commemorating the day held at Okimoson, Abeokuta. Kunle Ibikunle's report is presented in this package.
The World Hepatitis Day is being celebrated annually on 28th of July to tally with the birthday of Nobel Prize winning scientist Dr. Bruch Blumberg, who discovered hepatitis B virus and developed a diagnostic test as well as vaccines for the virus. The theme for this year's celebration is Hepatitis-Free Future, with a strong focus on preventing hepatitis B among mothers and newborns. While briefing the journalists in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tomi Koka, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dr. Adesonya Hanyide, says viral hepatitis is an inflammation of the liver that causes a range of health problems, including liver cancer, adding that it is the second major killer infectious disease over tuberculosis.
There are 5 main strains of hepatitis that we do know. About 1.3 million lives lost every year. Globally, about 325 million people are living with viral hepatitis B and C. Nigeria is one of the countries in the world with the highest burden of viral hepatitis, with prevalence rate of about 11%. That's about 20 million people for hepatitis B and 2.2%, and which is about 3.6 million people for hepatitis C.
Speaking on the prevention, Dr. Ayinde says hepatitis B virus infection causing chronic liver disease has received little or no attention in the past, and this has really constituted a major public hazard in the country.
Hepatitis B is a blood-borne and sexually transmitted pathogen that is spread through contaminated blood or other body fluids. The transmission can also occur from an infected mother to her baby as an infected person. Unsafe blood transfusion services and sharing of needles and sharps. The infection affects all age groups.
He said that the theme underscores that complete immunization of newborns and infants with all the necessary antigens, including hepatitis B vaccine, is critical in ensuring a hepatitis-free future in the states.
And still to come in the news, Works and Housing Minister inspects ongoing work on 3rd Mainland Bridge. More news and reports after the break. Yeah, welcome back. Ogtv main news continues. The federal government has declared Thursday, July 30 and Friday, July 31, 2020 as public holidays to mark this year's Eid-el-Kabir celebrations. This was contained in a statement on Tuesday signed by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Interior, Georgina Okeria. The statement was titled, Federal Government Declares 30 and 31 July 2020 public holidays to mark Eid-el-Kabir celebration. The Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, while making the declaration on behalf of the federal government, congratulated Muslim faithful and all Nigerians, both at home and abroad, on the occasion. Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps, TRACE, has pledged to guarantee effective traffic management, prompt rescue service on Ogun traffic corridor, and ensure strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols and guidelines so as to flatten the curve of the pandemic during and after the Eid-el-Kabir celebration. According to a statement from the Office of the Trace Corps Commander and Chief Executive Commander Abdul Fatai Olusheni Ogunyemi, the exercise would involve the full strength of Trace Corps operational machinery, which is geared towards promoting the safety of all road users by deploying operatives to man strategic beats, checkpoints, as well as diversion and construction zones across the state to check the excesses of recalcitrant motorists and their overbearing attitude. Furthermore, the statement rates that Trace Corps, in collaboration with other sister agencies, would enforce the COVID-19 guidelines, more so that a high volume of human and vehicular movement is envisaged with its attendant traffic build-up, breakdown of ill-maintained vehicles, construction and road crashes. While wishing all Muslim faithful happy Eid-el-Kabir celebration, the Trace boss enjoined all motorists to ensure strict compliance to traffic rules and regulations, and in addition observe and uphold COVID-19 protocols for the safety of all. However, for feedback calls in case of emergency situations, the motoring public should call these hotlines 0703 411 0281, text only 0810 17 92 333 and 003 491 9165. The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has assured all airport users that Nigerian airports under its management are fully ready to play host to air travelers during these Salah celebrations. According to the spokesperson of FAN, Mrs. Erienta Yakubu, in a statement made available to journalists, says, as part of the commitment to ensure safe, healthy, and seamless facilitation of highly esteemed passengers during the Salah celebration and beyond, the authority has put necessary safety measures in place in accordance with the COVID-19 protocols of the Nigeria's Center for Disease Control and the Port Health Service. President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday met with members of the Mai Mala Buni-led All Progressives Congress APC Caretaker Committee in the Presidential Villa, Abuja, where he hailed the panel for its work towards repositioning the governing party. Recall that following the suspension of the national chairman and the National Working Committee of APC in June, the National Executive Committee of the party chose the Yobe State Governor and others as the chairman and members of the Caretaker Committee, as well as of the Extraordinary National Convention Committee, respectively. At Tuesday's virtual interaction with the governors of the APC-controlled states and attended by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the president expressed satisfaction with the work that the Caretaker Committee was doing. President Buhari also appreciated the efforts of the APC governors following the successful conduct of the party primaries in Edo and Ondo states, adding that, I am happy that they knew their responsibility as governors and had identified the right priorities. The APC governors also commended the president for his handling of security issues and the economy, noting in particular the success recorded in pulling the country out of the 2016 economic recession, as well as the ongoing management of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are proud of your leadership and achievements, the governors told President Buhari. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo's helicopter crashed on February 2, 2019, which was caused by an in-flight visibility restriction. The Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB, has revealed the ill-fated Augusta Westland AW139 helicopter operated by Cavorton Helicopters Limited took off from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, to Okene via Kabba at about 1:36 p.m. local time. At about an hour later, it crashed at Kabba, Kogi State, with all 12 persons on board, including Professor Osinbajo, evacuated uninjured. In a report released by AIB on Tuesday, the agency said the flight crew encountered a brownout condition during the over to land. This led to the loss of external visual references, spatial disorientation, and loss of situational awareness, resulting in misjudgment of distance and ground clearance as the flight crew tried to control the helicopter's movement for landing. The helicopter landed hard and rolled over on its right side. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has commenced an inspection tour of the federal government's road projects in Lagos State. The minister kicked off the inspection at the Apapa Oshodi-Ojota Oworo-Shoki Expressway reconstruction project, then moved to the third mainland bridge, which has been partially shut for repairs. The bridge was shut on Friday and will remain shut for the next 6 months as repairs continue. According to the Federal Controller of Works, Olukayode Popola, a diversion has been created for the contractor handling the repairs to commence work on the outward lane of the island. Popola also explained that the inward lane has been left open to enable motorists to ply the road with ease while going about their businesses. Commuters have, however, already begun to experience increased gridlock on the axis. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, on Tuesday said the present regime has recovered looted funds in excess of 800 billion naira. He said the regime also recorded over 1,400 convictions. Mohammed said this at a press conference in Abuja. He said the administration's fight against corruption is as strong as ever, and we have the records to back up these claims. The administration has recorded over 1,400 convictions, including high-profile ones, and recovered funds in excess of 800 billion naira, not to talk of forfeiture of ill-gotten properties. A House of Representatives bill for an act to amend the 1999 Constitution to reserve 35% of political offices for women in the country will be presented for stakeholders' input in September. The bill, titled A Bill for an Act to Amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to provide for proportionate representation and participation of women in elective offices in Nigeria, is sponsored by Representative Taiwo Oluga, Osun, APC. The bill seeks to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to make it compulsory for states and political parties in Nigeria to reserve 35% appointive, elective, and executive committee seats for women. It amends Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution to say the state shall take specific positive action through enabling legislation and other measures to ensure that women are represented proportionately in all appointive and elective positions, and for the purpose of this section, proportionate representation shall be at least 35% of women representation in all appointive and elective positions mentioned in this Constitution. It also amends Section 223 to state that the Constitution and rules of a party shall provide for the periodical election on democratic basis of the principal officers, members of the executive committee or other governing body of political party, and candidates for election, and ensure that members of the executive committee or governing body of the political party and candidates for election, and ensure that members of the executive committee or governing body of the political party and candidate for election shall reflect federal character, of whom at least 35% shall be women. The Federal Character Commission, FCC, has lamented that the non-adherence to the principle of federal character principle is affecting President Muhammadu Buhari's vision of uniting Nigerians through creation of equal opportunities in the government ministries, departments, agencies, MDAs. Consequently, the Commission has resolved to set up 6 ad hoc committees to look into the activities of all government agencies to ensure compliance with federal character principles. The FCC, in a statement issued by the Director of Public Affairs and Communications, Dipo Akinshola, in Abuja, said the Commission has resolved to audit the nominal roles of some MDAs to ascertain the level of compliance with the principle of federal character. According to the statement, the Commission, at its plenary, chaired by the Executive Chairman, Dr. Muhida Dankaka, resolved to audit nominal roles of some agencies, MDAs, to ascertain the level of compliance with the principle of federal character. The Commission regrets that the non-observance of due process in filling vacant positions by the MDAs is affecting President Muhammadu Buhari's vision of uniting Nigerians through creation of equal opportunities. The resultant effect of this has created an atmosphere of suspicion and imbalance in the country. In this vein, pursuant to Section 4, subsection 2, 3, and 4 of the Federal Character Commission Establishment Act, 6 ad hoc committees has been set up with following term. 1, to ascertain all certificates of compliance issued from January 2019 to date. 2, to examine the staff nominal roles and ascertain compliance with the principle of federal character. The Executive Chairman charged the committees to discharge their assignments in the best interest of the citizenry as the Commission sets up its monitoring and enforcement machinery. The Executive Chairman enjoined the Chief Executives of the MDAs to give the committees maximum cooperation, as the committees were not constituted to witch hunt anyone, but to perform statutory functions as entrenched in the Constitution. The committees are expected to conclude their assignments within 3 weeks. Senator Dino Melaye has lost the bid to return to the Senate about 8 months after he was defeated in the Kogi West Senatorial District election. He contested the November 2019 poll on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and lost to Senator Smart Adeyemi of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Senator Melaye had filed a suit at the Court of Appeal to challenge the judgment of the Kogi State National Assembly Election Petitions Tribunal, which affirmed the election of Senator Adeyemi. He asked the court to upturn the decision of the tribunal that declared Senator Adeyemi as the winner of the election. A three-man panel of justices of the appellate court, however, dismissed the suit in its judgment delivered on Tuesday in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. The Nigeria Union of Journalists, Ogun State Television Chapter, has elected a new set of leaders to pilot the affairs of the chapel for the next 3 years. The state chairman, Caretaker Committee, NUJ, Comrade Omolola Adeyinka, while performing the inauguration of the new executive members, charged the new leadership to be committed to their constitutional responsibility bestowed on them. Adebola Oshomoji covered the event held in Ogtv Newsroom. A report.
The inauguration of new executive members of Nigeria Chapel is an attestation to the above narration, where the whole house came into agreement, arrived at the option of selection as against flexing motives to campaign against one another. We see ourselves as one big family.
After reaching a consensus, the new executives of Nigeria Union of Journalists, Ogun State Television, were sworn in. Comrade Bisi Alarakpe as chairman, Comrade Bukola Agbakizo vice chairman, Comrade Kunle Ibikunle secretary, Comrade Moses Ojewumi assistant secretary, Comrade Bolaji Akinyemi treasurer, Comrade Charity James financial secretary, and Remi Adebiyi, who was not in attendance, as auditor.
I, Tias Bisi Alarakpe, truly believe that certain fundamental ethics are necessary.
Truly believe that certain fundamental ethics are necessary
for the preservation and enhancement of the image and value of the profession of journalism.
For the preservation and enhancement of the image and value of the profession of journalism.
The 7 new executive members sworn in were charged not to allow their personal interest to override the collective interest of the union.
Don't relent in your activities. Be updoing. Let the fire go on. Don't draw back in responsibilities, in serving your members. Let the welfare of the members be paramount.
Things are changing about journalism, broadcasting. It is about capacity development. And I'd like to see more of that, coming from this person. So that's the only way forward.
I just want to send a word of appeal to the chairman and the team that they should collaborate and work together. We should not leave everything in the hands of the chairman. They should cooperate with her.
Please let us ensure that we are fair. All our dealings are just. Let us also consider that whatever we do, we must look beyond ourselves and understand that real happiness is helping others.
The Assistant General Manager Programs Services, Mr. Sheyi Oladimeji, speaking on behalf of the General Manager of Ogun State Television, Mr. Festus Kende, in his remarks, enjoins other members to lend their support to the new team.
But the most important thing is for us to know that we are members of NUJ because we are members of staff of UGT. Let that be paramount in our hearts. Let us take our job seriously. We shouldn't say that because we are members of the SO of NUJ, then we begin to do things anyhow.
While responding on behalf of the new officers, Chairman of the Chapel, Comrade Bisi Alarakpe, pledged to sustain the tempo of the good leadership of our predecessors and uphold the integrity of the union.
I'm pledging on behalf of this team. I don't think we need action. We don't have to talk at length here. You will see us, with my team, you will see us in action very soon.
Amen.
And we appreciate us for that.
Amen.
On this note, I am pledging on behalf of this team to ensure transparency and accountability.
This new set of leaders will pilot the affairs of the chapel for the next 3 years. Adebola Oshomoji, Ogtv News.
Here is wishing the new ESCO members a successful tenure in office. July Club of Nigeria, Abeokuta, is a socio-educational group established 12 years ago, basically to celebrate the month as well as impact positively to the society through various programs. The coordinator of the club, Idowu Rotimi, who stated this during a visit to the Ogun State Television, Abeokuta, added that the group has continued to channel its effort for societal development.
We touch the lives of the people, we influence the people, and we create awareness on important matters in the society.
Idowu Rotimi further stresses that the issue of rape, which has become a social menace in society, needs to be tackled headway across all strata of the economy.
Media station in Abeokuta, in Ogun State, that has been impacting positively into the society. That's why we said, okay, members of July Group, let's visit Ogtv and carry our awareness campaign to Ogtv on say no to rape. It should be a collective responsibility. By sensitizing the public, then we believe that the end will come into this thing.
That was the coordinator of July Club of Nigeria when the team visited Ogtv. Cryptocurrency has become one of the major offshoots of technology wave that is changing the Nigerian business landscape, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Relative access to internet via mobile penetration and platform has made the adoption of cryptocurrencies accessible to everyone through mobile phones. In this special report, Muyoluwa Ajayi examined the pros and cons of the adoption of cryptocurrencies. A report is presented in this package.
Money has always played a fundamental role in the development of global financial systems and historically paved the way for global trade and economic growth. Advancement in technology has sent the birth of cryptocurrency as a major consideration in both the technological and financial world.
Cryptocurrency is a digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify the transfer of funds.
With cryptocurrency, you are able to take higher or unlimited transactions without having to feel the weight.
Cryptocurrency, which is backed by a technology called blockchain, has emerged as a subset of alternative currencies to fiat countries, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. However, Central Bank of Nigeria issued a statement about 3 years ago banning the use of cryptocurrencies for transaction purposes. Despite the CBN's banning, Nigerians are still transacting business with cryptocurrencies.
We can as well as use it to buy goods online, trade online also. Example of these two currencies, when we talk about the example, we have cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and rest of them.
Regulation, there has not been a kind of regulation when it comes to cryptocurrency. There has never been any. So I think these are the challenges that is currently facing the cryptocurrency industry.
Cryptocurrency has its share of problems as it's experienced dramatic price fluctuation.
The biggest challenge of cryptocurrency is the lack of security credibility, the trading fees, and the liquidity and regulation of cryptocurrency.
Challenges in cryptocurrency is actually something very, very easy. The main thing needed in the cryptocurrency industry is I think regulation. There has to be a body that will be saddled with the responsibility of knowing the daily activities of what cryptocurrency is all about. I think if government could actually look into this would actually stop a lot of money laundering.
Respondent, however, stressed the need for government to regulate the use of cryptocurrency by imposing controls on it.
On business news segment, banks non-performing loans now 1.2 trillion naira. Join us after the break for details. A total of 651.77 billion naira was generated from value-added tax in the first half of 2020, according to latest figures from the National Bureau of Statistics. Part of the report read, sectoral distribution of value-added tax data for H1 2020 reflected that the sum of 651.77 billion naira was generated as VAT in H1 2020 as against 600.98 billion naira generated in H1 2019. This represents 8.45% growth year-on-year. Professional services generated the highest amount of VAT with 95.92 billion naira generated and closely followed by other manufacturing generating 67.63 billion naira. Commercial and trading generated 31.10 billion naira, it added. The report said mining generated the least, closely followed by textile and garment industry and pharmaceutical, soaps and toiletries with 127.58 million naira, 499.19 million naira and 648.78 million naira generated respectively. The net foreign assets of banks rose by 10.2% in the first quarter of 2020, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. The CBN, which disclosed this in its monthly economic report for the first quarter of 2020, said the increase was due to the exchange rate adjustment during the period. It said foreign assets net of the banking system on quarter-on-quarter basis rose by 10.2% to 6.39 trillion naira at the end of March 2020, compared with the growth of 7.5% in the fourth quarter of 2019, but was in contrast to the growth of 15.3% at the end of the first quarter of 2019. The increase in net foreign assets was due largely to the exchange rate adjustment during the review period. The Apex Bank stated that claims on domestic economy net on quarter-on-quarter basis grew by 5.0% to 37.97 trillion naira at the end of March 2020. Commercial banks in the country wrote off 1.9 trillion naira non-performing loans between the 2016 recession and 2019 as a consequence of the rising stage 2 loans, which poses a threat to the future profitability of banks. According to the report, approximately 23% of the banking industry's gross loans and advances was classified in the Stage 2 category as of December 31, 2019. As of the same date, 4 out of the 24 banks covered in the report had Stage 2 loans to gross loans ratios above 23% industry's average. The payment of bills electronically almost doubled from January to May this year compared with the same period in 2019. Analysis of the latest data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement Scheme indicated that the use of digital financial transaction platforms for the payment of utility bills and other subscriptions in the first 5 months of the year hit 444.16 billion naira. This is 86% increase from 238.81 naira being recorded from January to May 2019. The volume of e-bills payments from January to May this year was 373,652 compared to 530,941 in the corresponding period of 2019. And that was the business segment of the news. On the world today, Germany nurses concerns over rising cases of coronavirus. I'll be back shortly. A court in Malaysia has sentenced former Prime Minister Najib Razak to 12 years in jail after finding guilty on all 7 counts in the first of 7